What's going on, everybody? It's Afro Think Tank. All right, I'm still here. All right, white Jesus did not come get me. All right, the rapture did not happen. It was supposed to happen on the 23rd, and it didn't happen. All right, so I'm still here. All right, and this should let you know that he's black because he's late. All right, he ain't show up yet because he at his baby mama house right now. Because he had to give his baby mama some money. And then after that, he had to go to the store for his mama. So you don't know his mama, but, Jesus got a mama. You know what I'm saying? And he had to go pick some shit up before he came around to you, to pick you up. He be there in about 15 minutes, which in godly terms could mean several decades. All right? But listen, so this ain't about that. All right? This is about my good white folk, my super light-skinned brown individuals who turn all kind of colors depending on how they feeling. All right, so I don't know what they're talking about. They are very colored. All right, red, green, blue, purple. They turn all kind of colors. All right, but I'm loving waking up and listening to these white folk that are woke. All right, this is exactly what neo-Nazi, racist piece of shit, Neanderthal, barbarian savages are afraid of. This is why they spent 70, 80, 90 goddamn years in America making sure that white folks was dumb as rocks, all right, on purpose, because they didn't want them to know none of this shit. This is why they spent the first 500 years teaching about their version of Christianity to keep them dumb as rocks. And anytime they tried to get smart and utilize science, they beheaded them. The church. Keep in mind, it was the church who was beheading and chopping off and impaling Europeans to have the nerve to say that 2 + 2 is 4, all right? And not some mystical something that says that one dude in the robe pretending to be African with his white, with his white version of black people clothes saying that he is closer to God and only he speaks to God because the rest of y'all illiterate, all right? But anyway, I'm loving these white folk coming online telling us what's going on inside they White House, all right? It's not us. They worried about woke. They not burning black books, all right, and trying to get rid of slavery, any word mentioned of slavery in the museums for black folks, all right? That shit is burned in our DNA. We will forever be able to use our oratory skills to tell the detailed history of our people. But them white folks who don't know, them white folks get a little bit of money now, they can go down to the museum. Those ones, them white folks that done figured out the internet, and now they got high-speed internet. Because, a lot of those places most of these white folks live, they don't got access to high-speed internet. Can you believe that shit? Meaning when they go outside, they still running 3G. They still got 2 bars on their goddamn cell phone. All right, they can't upload a video to save their life. All right, but now they stepping their game up. And then they got access to all this information and they learning. It's the white folks they didn't want to learn. Because listen, racism is not, you're not born racist. White people there's nothing in their DNA that says that they're going to be born savage, barbarian Neanderthals, even though they got a lot of that thal in them. All right, they do got that thal in them. But it's bred within their societies. It is created. It is the only recipe with seasoning that they have. Racist seasoning, okay? It's the only thing that they have. And it's up to them internally to stop the cycle, the institutionalized cycle of programming racism and ignorance, because they got a lot of their young white boys running around here looking about as stupid as shit, saying with their chest, white people invented all this shit. Black people didn't do nothing. You got little weirdos like Nick Fuentes. He got a whole little death cult. All right, y'all need to take that shit seriously. That shit ain't just a joke. All right, that motherfucker's dead serious. All right, he got his whole little mini freaking weirdo, mentally ill incel army out here, right? And he's miseducating them, making them believe, right, that black folks ain't never done nothing. We ain't invented shit while they're sitting in all the shit we invented. All right, But anyway, I'm gonna bring some white folks to you. That's woke. Once white people get woke, that's it. Because once they get in some shit, that's it. I'm telling you, once a white person get woke to some shit that's real, you can't stop them from going. You can't stop them from talking about it. All right, you can't do it. All right, and in the spirit, all right, in the spirit of whiteness, I have a confession. I'm gonna tell you white people something. You know why we call you guys, mayonnaise patrol, mayonnaise. You know why we refer to you guys with mayonnaise? It ain't just because, you white. is because we like it. That's the confession. This the best shit y'all done ever came up with. Alright? Y'all don't make many things. But this goddamn mayonnaise, y'all was on point with this shit. This is some superior white creamy goodness. Alright? Now you got Team Hellman. And then you got Team Miracle Whip. Alright? Now clearly you see I got Hellman. Alright? But listen. I like Miracle Whip too. But it depends on what you're putting it on. Alright? Team Hellman's is for adults. Alright? That's for real shit. Now you slap that shit on real sandwiches. Alright? Real sandwich. Not that fucking iceberg water lettuce. That's when you get the good lettuce, right? It got some crunch to it. Team Hellman's. Alright? Miracle Whip is for kids because it's really goddamn, it's really freaking salad dressing. Alright? That's what they say it is. They just put it in the jar and call it mayonnaise. But that's the sweet shit. That's when you want something with a little sweet. You don't want savory, you want sweet. Alright? But I rocks with both. But in my house, the mainstay is the Hellman's. Alright? We like the savory kind. We don't know how y'all came up with this shit. Alright? But we like it. So when we call you mayonnaise, this and that, that's our way of saying, you know, we do like your mayonnaise. We don't like a lot of shit y'all do. But we rocks with your mayonnaise. We make it taste better. We do it better than y'all. Y'all know it. So don't try to fight us on this. Y'all made one good thing. And we will forever make fun of y'all asses by calling you the one good thing that y'all made, which is this mayonnaise. Which if I find out y'all didn't make it, I'm going to let y'all motherfuckers know. Because if y'all stole this from somebody, which is a great possibility, y'all need to just go tell me in the comments, say, did you white people steal mayonnaise from somebody? Did somebody else invent that shit? All right, because this goes with a lot of shit. Anyway, back to the video. Anyway, we got sidetracked. I just want to let y'all know that, so y'all know from now on, that's what it is. All right, we like it. So we're gonna talk shit about you and call you it because we like it. That's a black way of saying we appreciate you guys inventing the mayonnaise. All right, but anyway, without further ado, let's listen to these white folks tell us the truth about the inner workings of their culture and what's really going on. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
My God, can we stop with the bullshit of this CK, his wife, this whole production? Do you people not get what you're looking at here? I grew up in the times of Barnum and Bailey, okay? Before people could afford Universal or Disneyland, an actual fucking circus would roll into town to hypnotize the masses. Look at what you're watching. You have Netanyahu with the whip as the ringleader, that orange stain running around in circles, distracting everybody. The bedazzled sequin trapeze artist who is his wife. What the fuck was that? Okay? Since when do widows look like they just came back from a 7-day spa vacation? Okay, from the Four Seasons. Roots done, Manny, eyelashes in case anybody, actually sees a tear, it'll catch them. Not to mention, what the fuck was this fucking satanic symbol? Because I haven't seen that since a fucking Ozzy Osbourne concert. There you go. All roads probably lead back to that counterfeit country with her as well. You people better wake the fuck up. I did stand up for 30 years, so I absolutely know a production. I absolutely know a carnival. You motherfucking MAGA are being hypnotized.
Okay, this one is actually freaky, so stick until the end. We start with this guy. Remember him? This is Richard Spencer. He briefly became the most famous neo-Nazi in America after Trump's first election with this speech.
Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
This is when neo-Nazis were starting to rebrand as alt-right, but as you can see, they were still super mask off. If you don't know, Hail Victory is English for Sieg Heil. Anyway, listen closely to this part of the speech.
To be white is to be a striver, a crusader, an explorer, and a conqueror. We build, we produce, we go upward.
And that is a regular neo-Nazi talking point that you hear often these days, that white people build, create, invent things, that they're the source of civilization or whatever. Keep that in the back of your mind, but enough of Richard Spencer for now. Because this rotten hard-boiled egg is Stephen Miller. He's one of the only high-level White House staffers that stayed with Trump after his first term. And he's Trump's main immigration advisor, the architect of Trump's immigration policy. And even though he comes from a Jewish family, his own family members say that guy totally would have been an SS officer back in the day. Anyway, this is a section of his speech at the Charlie Kirk Memorial.
Our lineage and our legacy hails back to Athens, to Rome, to Philadelphia, to Monticello. Our ancestors built the cities. They produced the art and architecture. They built the industry. Erica stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of warriors, of women who raised up families, raised up city, raised up industry, raised up civilization, who pulled us out of the caves and the darkness into the light. The light will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity.
Yeah, things are getting dark, man. Things are getting really dark. Anyone who knows anything about Nazi propaganda know that that was a Nazi speech. Not even a watered-down crypto-Nazi speech. That is a straight-up Nazi speech from the 1930s. And they feel comfortable doing this because they know that the killing of Charlie Kirk has given them a way to dismiss and invalidate comparisons to the Nazis. But holy shit is that mask off, and holy shit should that make you worry about what is to come.
So I made a video yesterday that pissed off a lot of white liberals and Democrats. So let's talk about it. I said white people were able to get Jimmy Kimmel back into his spot within a few days, but we couldn't figure out how to organize to shut Alligator Alcatraz down. And damn, some of y'all got so mad, right? Trying to say it's false equivalency. We can't, do anything against the government. All this bullshit. But you know what that shows me? First off, the collective of white people that give a fuck highly undersell what we can do. It also tells me the collective as white people are operating out of freeze and fear. In the way I operate is if I know there's a concentration camp happening in my community, I'm going to have a much larger, angrier response to that than some fucking millionaire white dude that's trying to get back on TV. Because we should have never been here in the first place. But 3 out of 5 white men, 1 out of 2 white women wanted Trump. And so we should have been organized way long ago. We shouldn't even be here with Trump. But white supremacy was never a deal breaker. And so it shows me that we place more value as a collective on this idea of free speech for another white man than we do about immigrant families being kidnapped and taken to goddamn concentration camps. I saw a lot of hopelessness in the comments. I saw a lot of excuses. I saw someone say, okay, yeah, well, millions got out and protested. Yeah, during that No Kings bullshit where the white people that set up the protests colluded with the cops, colluded with the same system that is violent towards black, indigenous people of color every fucking day. The government knew white people would stay in line even with these protests. And the reality is we have to be willing to put skin in the game. And so there are definitely white people in LA, in Portland, that are doing the work, that are putting their bodies on the line, that don't give a fuck about outcomes and consequences for themselves. They are operating not in freeze. They are operating not out of fear. They are operating out of a space of justice and collective humanity. And if we all collectively gave a fuck enough to flip this motherfucker on its head, we do it. If I'm out in public and I see somebody trying to fucking kidnap immigrant families, I'm interfering. I'm not standing there and being like, oh no, oh my God, this is bad. And then going back to eat lunch on a fucking Saturday afternoon. And I had this thought last night. Legality is not equal to morality. And I've talked about this before. But if, hypothetically, slashing a tire on an ICE vehicle brings you more fear, then standing up and doing the right fucking thing and organizing your community to stop this bullshit, we need to sit with that. Right? Like, oh my God, I can't do that. I would never do that. That's illegal. You know, I don't want to go to jail. Why? When are we willing to sacrifice something for real? Sacrificing 12 to 2 p.m. on a Saturday to go hold signs and walk around and then tell the internet we're bored isn't doing shit. And you can be mad at me. This won't be the first or last time that happens. And I'm not trying to use shame and guilt as a tool. I'm just having a real conversation. We have the capacity to do way more. But it takes courage and it takes sacrifice. And when there's more of a massive reaction to, again, getting a millionaire white dude back on TV than there is to immigrant families, again, getting kidnapped and put in concentration camps, that's a fucking problem. That's the thing, is white supremacy and the violence that comes from white supremacy so normalized that any real pushback to that gets set aside so that we can do the easier shit and say, hey, I did something. Cool, Jimmy Kimmel got back on TV. Hooray. What the fuck does that mean for immigrant families? What the fuck does that mean for the genocide in Palestine, for the genocide in Congo and Sudan? What the fuck does that mean for the white supremacy violence that's happening across this country? Sure, satire is important. I'm not saying that. But what real change did it make? It saved free speech. Simultaneously, Trump's out here signing shit saying basically anyone that speaks out against him is a terroristic threat. You know what I'm saying?
Shlomo Sand is a Jewish-Israeli professor of history at the University of Tel Aviv. And he asked the question, where is the evidence for a Jewish diaspora from Palestine? And the answer he found was, there is no evidence for a mass Jewish diaspora from Palestine in the archaeological record. There is, however, overwhelming evidence for Jewish Palestinians converting to Islam at the time of the Arab conquests, as well as Judaism being a normal conversion religion like any other, and white Europeans converting to it. So the situation we find ourselves in presently is descendants of white European converts to Judaism are genociding the descendants of the ancient Judeans who are now Muslims. You have descendants of white European Holocaust survivors who are Jewish, genociding, doing a Holocaust to the descendants of the ancient Jewish people. And these people are being supported by anti-Semitic Christians who worship a literal Palestinian who only care about this because they want the Jewish people there so the rapture can happen, so they can cause the fucking end of the world. That is crazy.
You guys might wonder why I got so much hostility towards white people, and it's because it's literally in my blood, guys. Do you understand? The Irish, our entire history is fighting the white devil, the OG colonizers. They got us first. Y'all know St. Patrick's Day, that thing that we all dress in green and celebrate? That's us celebrating them wiping out my entire culture and ancestry. There were no snakes in Ireland. Those were my pagan ancestors, the Celts. Yeah, they're gone. But wear your green, boy, or you'll get pinched. The only reason I'm in America at all is because of the potato famine, right? Wink, wink. You mean the blockade? From England? From Britain? You mean how they fucking starved my people and, took all of their money, so all they had was potatoes. So then whenever, this fucking disease came through and wiped out the potatoes, all my people were dying. Not because we couldn't farm, Because we were colonized and then extorted for all of our resources. The Irish are poets, fighters, artists, musicians, you know? We're not like the regular whites. You couldn't have made a better first round draft pick. We hate the honks. Our entire history is going to war, fighting them. We can show you how to do it. How even when you're down, you don't lose. You live to fight another day. When you recruited the Irish, you gave us both an opportunity to get revenge against the white devil. Is quite the alliance. Fire and brimstone.
White people, if we want racism to truly go away in America, our voices have to be some of the loudest in condemning it. If you've been paying attention at all, you know and you understand the aggressive attempt that is happening right now to whitewash our world. We've had many people with black or brown skin color removed from prominent positions within the government. We've even had their achievements removed from government websites. There's a blatant attempt to rewrite history when it comes to slavery, with some going as far as to say it wasn't that bad, or we should teach it more gently. And that's just the very tip of the iceberg. White people, do you want to live in a world that is completely void of color? Do any of you guys not hang out with people of different skin color than you? Where are your voices on their behalf? Why are things like this happening over and over again to them, and we are not screaming in enragement? And most importantly, why are we expecting them to do anything whatsoever to combat this? They didn't create this problem. People who look like us did, and people who look like us continue to perpetuate the problem. So then it's people who look like us whose voices have to be the loudest in condemning their behaviors. No, it's not okay to come after our friends who aren't white. No, it's not okay to minimize them. No, it's not okay to hurt or harm them. We are the ones with the privilege, and nothing is going to change unless we use our voices on their behalf. Nobody is better than anybody else because of the color of their skin. But our government is trying to send the opposite message. The only way to stop that is for our voices to be louder. For us to shame people for having such backwards and racist thinking. To call people out when they say the quiet parts out loud. If you're white, I don't know what you're waiting for. The time is now. I've never organized any kind of march or protest before, but it would be my absolute dream, while our black and brown brothers and sisters are at home resting, for all of us white people to be out marching on their behalf, standing in solidarity and support of their communities. I will say this on record, if anybody is in the midst of organizing something like this, please contact me. I will lend my voice however I possibly can to your cause. Right now we have a bunch of white people that are united in their common goals of supremacy. We have to have a bunch of white people that are on the opposite side as a counter-resistance to their efforts. If racism is going to stop, we have to be the ones to stop it.
Man, I tell you what, nothing makes racist white people more pissed off than me, a white person, trying to educate about racism and trying to educate about what white privilege is and all these things. And it's so funny because these same people will argue with me till they are blue in the face about how they're not racist and we don't live in a racist institution and black and brown people have it so easy and racism doesn't exist anymore. But then they will turn around and say the most racist, ignorant, vile shit you've ever heard in your life. The disconnect is amazing. And this is why I make content like this, because it's so important, because we do live in a racist institution and we are all raised in racism as white people. This is simply a fact. And the crazy part about it is every one of us knows this. Even the ones who will sit there and fight with me to the death about it and act like it doesn't exist. Y'all know white people are racist. Y'all know about the casual racism, the casual microaggressions that we are raised in, no matter where we live in this United States of America. And this is why I will never stop. I will never stop trying to educate as a white person about racism and how we need to learn. We need to evolve. We need to do better. It's almost as if they feel like admitting to a racist institution or admitting to racism makes them this evil, terrible person. And so they would rather double down than to grow and be a good person. And that's so bad, because all that says to me is that you have a small mind and a cowardly soul. And I wish better for you than that, truly, because everything in your life will get better when you stop being so ignorant.
Normalize making sure that people know that you are not a safe space for bigotry or racism, anti-immigration, any of that shit. Just because I am a white boomer lady does not mean that you can spout off that shit in front of me and not be held accountable for it. It will not happen. Us white people, boomers, whatever, need to stand up and stand our place, because when you see some shit like that is happening, don't be together like, oh my God, I can't believe she's saying that. I can't believe he's saying that. I can't believe it. No. You need to stand up and say, I cannot believe that you were saying that. You do know that that person is a human being, right? Stand back, stand tall, and make sure those people know exactly what they're saying is wrong and should not be said. We need to stand up right now and make sure it happens, because you know what? Our time of being quiet and covering our mouths and telling little secrets like, oh my God, that's over. Now it's time to say it. Oh my God, I cannot believe you're saying this shit. Normalize that shit and do it now.
I'm just gonna say it, right? If more people, more white people would stand up against racism, we could probably get it to damn near end, y'all. I'll stand up for it. I know racism isn't right, but I need more white people to jump on this train to help me take a stand against racism. There are white people out here, y'all, that's got people thinking that we are all racist, when that is not what's going on. So we have got to put a message out to take a stand against racism. Like, I will start it off. I don't care. I will stand alone in it if I have to. But if you're a white person and you're with me on this, help me push the content out. There's only one way to do this, and it comes with just being in unison. That's the only way. There is power in numbers, y'all. I don't care if you're black, Mexican, Indian, Asian, whatever it is that your race, ethnicity is. You don't have to be white for me to like you. And everybody else that feels this way, I need you to get on this train right now.
Why I stopped being a racist, part 1. I've been asked probably well over 1,000 times in the comments and messages why I chose to confront my own racism and my prejudice ideology. So I thought I'd just have an honest conversation with you and break it down over a few parts and let you see into the mind of someone like me, the way I grew up, and the man I'm becoming. Now here's the crazy thing. I've only ever known one racist in my life for sure, and that's me, because I can't speak into the hearts and minds of another human being and what they think and feel. That's not fair, and that's prejudicial of me. So I'm the only one I've ever known, so I feel I can speak with authority about this. I'm not calling out other people who are. This is simply about my evolution and the things I confronted and some of the difficulties and some of the beautiful parts of this. This is not an easy thing for me to do. This is kind of laying my soul bare. So if you would, let me know if this is something you want me to continue in the comments, please, because it's going to take a lot for me to invest emotionally to be open about this. Now, why is it I grew up with so much prejudice and bias and discrimination in my life? Well, I grew up in a small town in Arkansas, and I am Arkansas proud. Let me just say that right off the top. But I grew up with people who taught me these things, and it was instilled in me. I mean, it was just reinforced over and over. And then for the most part, I lived in an echo chamber of other people who thought the same thing. So I didn't know it was possible to think any other way. I was raised Christian. I cannot explain to you why my faith in God, my morality, and my racism took so long to cross paths. I can't explain it, but it probably took about 40 years to figure that out. There's a whole series of events in my life, I guess, ultimately that led up to this. And prison was probably one of the biggest catalysts, because when you're on 23-1 lockdown with someone of a different color from you in the same cell, you shut your mouth and you listen. You ask questions. And I had so many different cellmates from different countries, from different races and heritages. And it just really opened my mind. And sitting in prison, I had a lot of time to think. And I had some old timers tell me, I need to do my time. Don't let my time do me. And those are good words of advice. But I started digging deep into myself and my flaws, and because I was probably the biggest asshole I knew at that time, and I wasn't proud of that at all. And I knew I needed to change if I wanted to live a productive and healthy life and just be somebody likable. I just couldn't see the world for the way it really was. And that breaks my heart that it took me so long to see it. But the beauty that is born from this change in me, or this growth, is just crazy. God is amazing. So if you want me to continue this, let me know and I'll do a part 2.
Do you believe systemic racism exists? Black Americans suffered roughly 250 years of race-based intergenerational chattel slavery, where they were beaten, raped, tortured, cannibalized, and enslaved. Very few Black Americans had wealth because of these conditions that were forced upon them. When the 13th Amendment was put in place, which ended race-based intergenerational chattel slavery, it said that indentured servitude and slavery was still acceptable as punishment for crime. Not every state had a prison at the time of the 13th Amendment. But after the 13th Amendment was written into law, every state started investing in prisons. And every state created these laws, which were universally known as the Jim Crow laws, which basically made it illegal to be black. So the United States started rounding up Black Americans and enslaving them in the prison system, while at the same time destroying their properties and their wealth. It has been roughly 50 years since the end of the most previous Jim Crow era. White Americans had over a 350-year head start while building their wealth and empires off of the backs of Black Americans. Ignoring the fact that Black Americans make up 38% of the prison population and only make up 13% of the US population, which is an obvious sign of racial discrimination stemming from the Jim Crow era, Black Americans never received reparations, so how are we equal? If you are born black in the United States, you are 48% likely to be born into poverty. If you are born white in the United States, you are 7% likely to be born into poverty. That is systemic. Equality does not exist in the United States. The idea that it does was fabricated in order to hide the fact that systemic racism still exists today. Learn up.
White people, specifically white Christians, we have a problem. We've had this problem for some time. In Christian terms, repentance is in order. But it seems many white Christian leaders are far more interested in mere talk rather than taking real actions to answer the call of the black and brown image bearers of God that continue to cry in the streets for justice. Many white Christian pastors have been content with addressing this once or twice in their pulpits, or inviting a prominent black Christian to have a conversation, and many times it's awkward and embarrassing. In an effort to be seen as doing something, a meeting, a gesture, a moment is produced. But the moments fall far short of what is needed. What is needed is a real examination of the history of the American church in complicity with racism that has been institutionalized. There are some Christian leaders who suggest that now is no time for politics, but it comes off as a bit duplicitous to suggest that now, when marginalized people are crying in the streets for justice, that we should shut up and preach the gospel. As Eliza Griswold points out in The New Yorker, in the United States, evangelicalism has long been allied with political conservatism. And under Trump's presidency, right-wing political rhetoric has become more openly racist and xenophobic. In evangelical circles, hostility towards people of color is often couched in nostalgia for simpler days. In fact, a study of Christians in 2000 called Divided by Faith pointed out that a lot of evangelicals don't even believe in systemic oppression. And under Trump, they've cast themselves as the victim. White evangelicals were captive to white supremacy under Trump. They were more white than Christian. It seems that we are at a moment in history when things may change. I temper my optimism because I understand the depths of entrenched racism in our nation. And the Christian church is in a powerful place to bring about real change. If when others of a different political persuasion cry out for help and we opt for simply preaching the gospel, we do a disservice to the very gospel that we claim to proclaim. Because the gospel will change hearts, but institutional and systems remain. So a holistic approach demands that the gospel of Christ address the needs of hearts and institutions. We can and should do both. I absolutely believe that Jesus is the answer for the world. It is because that I believe that he is the answer that I continue to speak up. I certainly believe that Jesus would. The gospel has implications for every aspect of our lives, not just the hereafter. So if we are indeed the body of Christ, then we should be active in seeking to bring about reconciliation. And it starts with listening to those that are crying out. We shouldn't dismiss them. We shouldn't project our own thoughts and ideas upon them. We should listen, learn, and change. In this moment, we all feel the growing pains of change. But in the excitement of the moment, in the challenges of the moment, we must realize that we still have much work to do. External change may come quickly, and I pray that it does, but that does not excuse me from continuing to do the daily work on my heart and mind. As Tish Harrison Warren points out, the subculture of evangelicalism tends to pound with excitement and passion and the kind of worship that gives a rush. Eugene Peterson calls this quest for spiritual intensity a consumer-driven market for religious experience in our world. He says that there is little enthusiasm for the patient acquisition of virtue, little inclination to sign up for the long apprenticeship in what early generations of Christians called holiness. Religion in our times has been captured by a tourist mindset. We go to see a new personality, to hear a new truth, to get a new experience, and so somehow to expand our otherwise humdrum life. When it comes to these issues, we cannot be mere tourists, standing on the sidelines as the world changes. In the spirit of Jeremiah 29, we must seek the peace of the city and of our nation. In order to achieve that peace, we must recognize the depth of the problems. We cannot change what we refuse to acknowledge. The world is watching. History is being recorded. Questions remain. Will we be the change that the world needs?
Hi, I'm Kylie, and here are the top 5 ways that hatred is passed on in white families. This is definitely a topic that not a lot of white people like to talk about because they prefer to stay race neutral or at least not air their dirty laundry in public, but I do have some things that I want to say. The first way that white people pass on hatred to their kids is literally at the dinner table. I can't even tell you how many times I'd be at another white person's house growing up, and their mom or dad would say something racist and look to their kid like they made a joke and wait for the kid to react. So in that way, the racist remark serves almost as a point of bonding between the parent and the child. The second way that it's passed on is in sports, especially if a white family or a white team is playing against a team that is primarily people of color. White people will say racist things. Did you see that defender? She was really aggressive, and other microaggressions that get passed on to the child. The third way is by discouraging their children from being friends with people of color because of certain innate qualities that they may have. Number 4, moving their kids to an all-white suburb. Number 5, praising celebrities and politicians that are racist.
I know I don't understand your experience.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I have never had to live it.
Come on now.
I can sympathize, and I can recognize when things are wrong.
We're sisters and brothers here. Talk.
For instance, if a black man or woman should never be afraid for their life, for getting pulled over for speeding.
Come on now. Come on.
But I have never lived in that fear.
Come on now. Come on.
No black man or woman should ever be reluctant to walk outside for fear of racial profiling.
Tell it, sister. Tell it.
But I have never been racially profiled.
That's right. Come on now.
No black man or woman should ever expect to go to jail in their lifetime because of the color of their skin.
Come on now.
But I have never lived in that expectancy. And this is why I don't believe in the phrase, I don't see color.
That's right.
One, to say you don't see color is a lie. We're different. We can all see that. But two, and way more importantly, to deny the differences in our skin is to deny the differences in our privilege.
Come on. Yeah.
I'm going to say that again because I think it's worth repeating. To deny the differences in our skin is to deny the differences in our privilege.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my next point. To deny the differences in our color is to promote ignorance. Ignorance is the reason that systemic racism and oppression is allowed to exist in this country.
That's good.
So why am I here? Why am I up here speaking?
Come on now. Tell them, sister.
I'm going to talk on about three things. One of those is change, the other is ignorance, and one is discomfort. I'll get there.
Go ahead. Take your time.
Broadly speaking, why am I here? Because I want change. But let me speak on that for a second. Because I think a lot of people want change. I think a lot of people say they want change, but let me clarify. I think a lot of white people think they want change. But here's the thing about that. In order for there to be a true and genuine change, for you, for the black community, for people of color, there has to be an equal and requited amount of change for white privilege.
That's right.
And that is something that white people don't want to think about. They don't want to admit that. White people don't want to acknowledge the head start we have in life just for being born this color. You know what? That is willful ignorance.
Put it on front line.
Willful ignorance is what allows oppression to continue in this country.
Together we stand. That's it.
So I'm going to talk on ignorance for a second. I think one of the biggest things that allows ignorance to continue is our education system.
There it is, baby.
Yes, ma'am. Our education system.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I mean by that is our education is a white man's education.
It is.
It is a white man's history.
Yes, ma'am. Tell it.
Why does that matter? Again, like I said, I can recognize when something is wrong. And that is wrong. Why? Because when you tell that history, the history that excludes black history and black culture and the black experience, you allow white people to think that nothing is wrong. And when that happens, you allow white people to think, well, it was bad back then, but it's not bad now. Hell no.
That's right.
It's bad now. In fact, some might say it's worse because this is systemic oppression.
That's right.
This is institutional oppression. This is oppression that is not overt, but it is just as powerful, and we are able to hide it.
God almighty.
And I have more to say. If you want to hear all of it, please come out Saturday.
We'll be there.
Thank you. We appreciate it. But just know the reason I'm here is because I stand by you. I support you. I love each and every one of you out here. We are brothers and sisters to the day we die. And this is not my time to have my voice heard, but I will use my voice for you. I promise.
Thank you.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Wait. Before you go, for all my subscribers and philanthropists out there, I'm building a solar power community water bowl system in Nigeria. It's going to cost between $5,000 and $6,000. I'm trying to raise money. If you want to participate and help me build this solar power water system, please donate to the Cash App and put solar water in the notes. Solar water in the notes. I'll put PayPal, Stripe, and Zelle. Anyway, thank you. That's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out. Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.